The Phoenix Suns have a decision to make as they have 16 guys currently under roster after they still have not waived EJ Liddell after the David Roddy trade. Does this mean EJ Liddell could be staying with this team long term? And could the Suns be cooking up some more moves regardless, waiving somebody else or possibly doing a salary dump with a trade? We'll be breaking down all of that and discussing all the possibilities on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. It's been absolutely fantastic showing your love and support coming out to our first weekly live stream over here on Suns Digest. But if you want to make sure you stay up to date on the daily Suns content that's coming to you guys here, you got to hit that subscribe button. There's only 23% of you guys who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you want to make sure you stay up in the loop, have those post notifications on, and get the daily updates, hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's dive into this topic at hand. Make sure to grab a snack, and like I mentioned in the introduction, yes, at this very moment, the Suns have 16 players under contract. That is right. 16 of those guys are under the contract, and the Suns were supposed to waive one of those players, but they have decided not to at this very moment. So it kind of opens a bit of a discussion, kind of raises some alarms for some Suns fans. That's a little bit of a tongue twister, including myself, who is kind of questioning, kind of waiting, realizing, are they going to keep EJ Liddell or are they going to go a different direction? And we wanted to break it down and we wanted to cover it here on Suns Digest because we didn't really see many people talking about it. So let's get into it and let's dive in. Like I mentioned, as you can see with this image here, the Suns at this current moment have 19 people under roster. We know that they have their three two-way guys signed. They signed Colin Gillespie, they signed Jalen Bridges, and they had one of their two-way spots open. But this weekend, they went and got Kentucky point guard, a couple years back from the draft, Ty Washington, who I think was a great, fantastic signing. Another young guard that they can kind of develop, who was in the draft not too long ago and had a contract in the NBA. So let's see him bounce back. Let's see him work back. Let's believe into the potential that Ty Washington presents us. But ultimately, that leaves the Suns kind of screwed at this point because now they are currently one man over the roster limit, which means at this moment, the Suns have to, before the season starts, waive somebody or trade somebody off of this roster. And as we kind of know, and as we kind of, presented and kind of thought, we saw from about a week ago before Tyus Jones signed, the Suns were likely to release EJ Liddell in order to free up a roster spot to pursue a point guard, and they did that when they went after and signed Tyus Jones. Then they traded David Roddy for EJ Liddell. That trade went through, but we still yet to see EJ Liddell be waived yet. And that, I think, raises a lot of question marks and a lot of, anticipation for Suns fans here because is EJ Liddell going to be the one to be waived? Is it going to be one of these other players, or will somebody else be moved in a trade? Because honestly, that David Roddy trade came out of nowhere. Maybe the Suns were behind the scenes talking to Tyus Jones and trying to figure something out, and that's ultimately what led to the move happening. But with this wing group being very, very packed and with David Roddy having a fantastic summer league, the Suns wanted to make sure they could get off of him and move off of him to have that open roster spot to get another point guard. They did so, and they did that. They sold on the most valued property at that moment, which was David Roddy, giving him to Atlanta for a guy in EJ Liddell who had suffered some injuries, hadn't really had a chance to prove himself in the NBA, and seemingly could have been waived. But now with this two-way roster spot, being filled, even if he does get waived by the Phoenix Suns, it's not like they can bring him back or sign him to a two-way unless they waived one of their other two-way contracts in Gillespie and or Bridges. And Bridges had a fantastic summer league where he showed some really, really bright pieces of his game, which he can translate and bring to this Suns squad, which a lot of fans are anticipating. Gillespie, even though he didn't play in the summer league, is another one of those guards that the Suns want to believe in and is a young guy that they can kind of believe in. I do think he'll see a majority of his game played with the Valley Suns, but if there are some injuries, I do think he'll get called up and he'll have an opportunity to showcase some of that with the actual Suns roster. And now Ty Washington, another guard, another playmaker, another ball handler being brought into that group. So ultimately, this is kind of, the big question here is what's going to happen. And that's where we get to the next part here in the video, which is, yeah, exactly what will happen. What are the Suns going to do? Are they going to decide to waive EJ Liddell? Are they going to go through with that plan? Are they going to give up on the young prospect from Ohio State that has a lot of promise and a lot of potential, but suffered an ACL injury his rookie year that held him back? Or are they going to look to possibly trade one of the players that they, have under contract or on this team? Personally, I think that they are going to waive EJ Liddell at some point. I know that it has, been a little bit stagnant. We haven't heard that much news. If that was the game plan, they should have already got it done. But ultimately, I think that that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be dragged on for a couple more weeks, and then towards the end of the season, once they have to make the cut, they'll waive EJ Liddell and let him go and kind of be like, you know what, go find another team. Sorry that it couldn't work out for us. We wanted to get Tyus Jones. Ultimately, do I think that's the decision the Suns should make and that the one that is the best for the franchise? No. I personally think that the Suns should keep EJ Liddell. I think the Suns need this young talent, need these young players. And CJ and I have, proclaimed that through the entire offseason. We wanted the Suns to keep their draft picks. We wanted them to get younger, and they did so. Drafting Ryan Dunn, trading back to, and then getting an extra pick while also selecting Ryan Dunn, and getting Oso Ighodaro, and now getting into some of these young guys like Colin Gillespie, Ty Washington, Jalen Bridges. I'd love for them to keep a guy like EJ Liddell under this roster. Regardless if he gets much playing time with the Suns or not, I still think he could be a viable piece for this team. And with this Suns team right now, we see that the depth is in abundance and that there are some players who last year were on this team that were going to be key role players that are now, kind of the end of the rotation due to the fact that the Suns made so many A-plus moves in free agency. So maybe trading one of those guys and trying to find him a better opportunity would be best for the team because then a guy like EJ Liddell kind of fit in as that 11th, 12th man, kind of learn from some of these older guys, play down with the Valley Suns and learn with the G League guys, and ultimately kind of grow with this younger unit and kind of give the Suns a little bit of a foundation of some young building blocks in Ighodaro, in Dunn, in Liddell, in Ty Washington, in Gillespie, in Jalen Bridges. I know it's not flashy. I know it's not, big name or anything like that, but at least there's some potential, at least to the fans, there's something that shows you once Booker and Durant and Beal do look other ways, or if this thing does blow up by the end of next season, at least you have some young talent to believe in and to actually watch and root for, and they're not just young talent that's just immediately coming in. If you kind of want to go that route and the route that I think the Suns should go, then that means the Suns would have to look to move off of one of these players. Now, again, it's not going to be any of the big three. They're going to be locked up and staying here. Nurkic is going to be staying here. Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, those guys are here. Bol, Damian Lee, Josh Kogi, none of those guys can get traded because they all re-signed. So ultimately, it realistically comes down only to a couple of names. And again, one of those names who has been mentioned on the podcast, who could maybe have a role with this team if he's still on the squad, is Nazir Little, but he is the one that kind of is the red alarm in my eyes. He makes around $6.7 million. The Suns were to trade off of his contract, they would free up some money, save some money from the luxury tax with Matt Ishbia, allow him to get another opportunity on another squad to kind of develop and blossom, but also free up the Suns a little bit of rotation headache and allow them to get a little bit of a clearer run of their 10-man or 11-man rotation, also allowing EJ Liddell, a young forward who presents a lot of great NBA qualities, especially a fantastic shot blocker, adding to this unit and adding to this young core, which I think is also necessary for this Suns squad. Now, do I think that the Nazir Little trade route will happen? I don't know. I think that we'll have to see some more. Obviously, for that to happen, we'll have to see some more teams have some more roster flexibility, have some more cap space. And at this very moment, with the CBA and how the rules are running, it's not looking like the case. Maybe if Utah figures out an extension with Lauri Markkanen and they get that whole headache space cleared. Maybe if the Chicago Bulls were to work a trade with Zach LaVine or Nikola Vucevic to free up some money, or a Brandon Ingram trade, or something to shake up some of these rosters to, give some freed up space or money for some of these players to sign these contracts in order to take on a contract like Nazir Little in a trade. But ultimately, I don't know if that's ideology is going to present the case, and I think if the Suns have to make a decision, that decision of waiving EJ Liddell will be the one that they do ultimately make. Even though I don't think it is the decision that they should, I think they should look to trade Nazir Little, try to find him a better role, and try to give EJ Liddell a chance to grow with this squad. I think that's the best move, but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What would be the move that you would do if you were the GM, if you were James Jones of the Phoenix Suns? What would the direction that you would want? Would you want to waive EJ Liddell and kind of keep with this core and kind of push for this championship with how the roster is constructed at this moment? Or would you like to keep EJ Liddell and maybe trade one of the guys under roster or waive another guy onto the roster? And if so, let me know who that is down below in the comment section. I really do appreciate all your guys' thoughts down below there. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Suns Digest. We really do appreciate your support, CJ and I, on bringing this daily content. You guys supporting us along the way. Make sure to stay tuned. Make sure to stay up to date on everything daily related to the Suns. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure to stay tuned for the weekly live streams coming on Thursday nights. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a great rest of your day. And go, Phoenix Suns.